We are geek-centric, and you can be too. Love ya. Laters. Bye. Stay at home safe, guys. Peace.
Welcome to the Geek-Centric Podcast, and welcome to our special Behind the Geeks episode for Marvel Television's Wonder Man. My name is Justin, and if you're joining us for the first time, well, we are Geek-Centric, a podcast covering the world of movies, TV shows, gaming, and all things geek-centric. And today I am so excited to be welcoming some of the fantastic people behind Marvel Television's Wonder Man. First up, we're joined by Andrew Guest, the showrunner and executive producer of Wonder Man. We talk about how refreshingly different this show feels within Marvel Television, less concerned with the MCU machinery and much more focused on character. Andrew expands on those early creative conversations, the grounded look and feel of the series, and the themes of identity and performance at the heart of Wonder Man. Then, after that, we're chatting with the stars of the series, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who plays Simon Williams, aka Wonder Man, and Sir Ben Kingsley, who is returning as Trevor Slattery. We talk about how the show's restrained tone shaped their performances, Trevor's unique journey through the MCU, and how both Simon and Trevor approach acting and the craft in very different ways. A huge thanks to our friends at Marvel Studios Canada, and by extension Disney Studios Canada, for setting us up with these virtual interviews. If you want to watch these interviews, they are available now on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/geekcentric. Now, before we get to the interviews, a couple things to quickly plug. We do have our annual Geek Back episode for 2025. This is where we look back at some of our favorites from 2025, from movies, TV shows, games, collectibles, and even some of our disappointments from 2025. Plus, we wrap things up on a positive note, talking about what we're looking forward to in 2026. That's available now on podcast feeds. If you've been following us on our socials, you've probably been seeing that Nate, Kevin, and Darcy, our fellow geeks, are off in the most magical place, Walt Disney World. They're out there just seeing the sights, taking in the park, enjoying some sun and some reprieve from this awful cold Canadian weather. So we got a bunch of stuff on our socials, on our Instagram at We Are Geekcentric, and we also have some new food content for our side project. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at We Are Eatcentric. Those details are in the show notes below. We're wrapping the first month of 2026. It's been great. We got a lot more in store for the rest of the year, so be sure to subscribe to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Okay, let's get into it. First up is my conversation with Andrew Guest, executive producer and showrunner for Marvel Television's Wonder Man. Hey, Andrew, how are you, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the Geek-Centric podcast. We're such huge fans of this show. And on our review, when we were reviewing it, we talked about how refreshingly different Wonder Man feels. It's less concerned with the MCU of it all and more focused on a character. What were those early conversations like when you realized this wanted to be more grounded and character driven?
The truth is that from the beginning, Marvel wanted a different kind of show when they thought about doing this one. So I was sort of luckily given the opportunity to have a different tone, really, than anything else that they've done. And they didn't want a reveal of a villain by the third act and some big battle. They felt like they had done those kinds of stories a lot, and this was an opportunity to try to tell a different kind of story. And as somebody who's worked in television for 23 years, I tend to think that character is sort of the most important ingredient in television. It's the thing that brings you back week after week. You care what happens to these people. Hopefully you believe in them enough that you get worried about them when things are going wrong, and you root for them to get the things they want. That was always my approach, was like, let's figure out our Simon and let's figure out Trevor and focus on character.
That really does hit home the point of this show, to stay very centered on its characters, and just this idea of really focusing in
on sort of the elements that make this world, rather than all of the MCU-ness of it. I'm a big geek for all things visual. And I feel like this show feels very restrained at times, and it leans into natural lighting, practical locations. It almost feels very docu-inspired at times. How intentional was that grounded aesthetic, and how did it help shape the tone of the series?
Well, that a lot is owed to Destin Daniel Cretton when it comes to the look and feel. Him directing those first 2 episodes and setting the world for all of us and the other directors was really essential. And he has this indie film background. I don't know if you've seen Short Term 12, but it's a brilliant movie.
One of my favorite films. Sorry to cut you off.
Agreed. No, please. And that was a sensibility that he was really excited to go back to. I mean, he had done a flashy Marvel feature. This was an opportunity for him to bring some of that other aesthetic into this world. And we have these 2 incredible actors who can make anything feel real. So we wanted a real world around them. We wanted specificity. We feel like that adds so much. And so Marvel was really great about letting us shoot LA for LA and letting the audience feel like they're here.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, on the outside, so many people think Hollywood's so glamorous, but this really does get to the grassroots of how unglamorous sometimes Hollywood can be, which is really, really interesting, even given the fact of conversation around a show like The Studio that came out earlier this year and just how intentional that was. So this feels like it lives in that same sort of camp of wanting to highlight in a real authentic way Hollywood. I think one thing that really stands out to me is at the core of this show, it feels like it's about identity validation, and both on screen and off. What did you want audiences to walk away feeling or thinking about when this series ended?
Well, I think it's really interesting that you bring up identity, and I feel like that is one of the central struggles for Simon Williams, is this relationship to his powers and how that makes him one thing or another. And that speech in episode 6 that Sir Ben gives to Simon about you're not this condition, you are the sum of everything you've been through. To me, that is one of the things, that's one of the sort of the more central concepts and themes of this show. And because what excites me about the people who come to this city to work and make a living telling stories and connecting with other people is those experiences we've had that are so unique and individual to us, but somehow when you put them on a screen, somebody else far away can identify with it, and you feel connected to other people in this world, and that is a beautiful thing. So hopefully that can be a takeaway for our audience.
Yeah, well, this show is a beautiful thing, man. You have so much to be proud of and to celebrate. So congratulations on that. And, I look forward to seeing whatever you do next. And thank you for taking the time again to join us on the Geek-Centric podcast.
It was my pleasure. It's great to meet you. Thank you.
Next up, please welcome Yahya Abdul-Mateen II and Sir Ben Kingsley from Marvel Television's Wonder Man.
Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
Well, thank you. Good to see you.
How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm talking to you guys, man.
Hey.
I'm on top of the world right now. You guys are, I'm sure you're hearing this all day, but you guys are absolutely fantastic in this show.
Thank you.
Your dynamic is incredible. It rivals some team up films in a lot of ways. Yeah, I want to start with you. This show is much more restrained and than typical Marvel projects.
Think so?
I think in the sense it's more grounded, right? Like I like that. I like the approach. I was just talking to Andrew about that quality of the show. I wanted to know, how did that grounded tone change how you approached playing Simon?
Oh, it didn't. It didn't change it. It informed me. The text informed my acting, my process, it was actually extremely liberating. You use the word restrained, and I felt so free. This was freeing, to me, and some other things that I've done that when I was in some of the more heightened worlds, I felt very restrained. In this one, boy, I could fly. As an actor, I got to experience everything, passion and anger, sadness and the anxiety, the full spectrum. So it was really a gift. I could wallow in my own process.
Right,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? And
Yeah,
then
no, for
go
sure.
go to work, put my feet in the ground, listen, and
Mhm.
talk and listen, and really have a good time. This was really a joy to do.
Yeah, and it shows that you had freedom. And when I mean restrained, I just mean in comparison to other MCU
Yeah, sure,
projects, MCU television projects. It felt so much more grounded and
sure.
real and very character driven, which I genuinely appreciated.
Yeah.
And I can see from your performance that you had a lot of fun and freedom with it. Now, Sir Ben Kingsley, this isn't your first time in the MCU. Trevor's journey in the MCU has been a unique one, from being perceived as a terrorist and to a hostage in Shang-Chi, all while often serving as a source of humor. What was it like finding a new side of Trevor here in Wonder Man, one that carries so much more heart?
I hope that what guided Trevor's journey through the first three was exactly the qualities you mentioned in the fourth one. So that I don't think they surprised me or emerged. I think the writers, Andrew and Destin, saw perhaps layers in my performance. An actor can intuitively feel he's giving a performance, but what actually he's offering the audience, it may not even, or she may not even know it, but all the layers underneath as well, that intuitively they are bringing to the performance. And I think that our dear creative colleagues picked up on that, because I think all the qualities in my fourth appearance were actually stacked underneath my first appearance, which always gives me ballast and feet on the ground and joy in playing not this two-dimensional person, but this multi-dimensional person. Even though the dimensions may never reach the screen, they are feeding what reaches the screen.
Absolutely. And I think that you do give so much more dimension to Trevor that was surprising and so heartwarming and often made me a little emotional. I'm not going to lie. My last question as we wrap here, what's really interesting is that both Simon and Trevor have a very different approach to acting and finding their characters. Did either of you relate to your character's philosophy or process when it comes to performance and the craft of acting?
Maybe a little bit, not entirely, just little bits, but little bits that made sense. Because when our creative team is writing about actors, there's such nonsense being talked and written about the process.
Yeah.
And I felt that even when it drifted into satire, perhaps, or exaggeration, it was rooted in genuine processes. And I found that quite delightful. That actually, people were not portraying actors as on the screen as objects for derision, but actually as hardworking individuals.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think that shows both from your performances and just the care that you have to the craft, and that translates through the screen as well. Thank you so much for joining us on the Geek Centric podcast. It's such an honor to talk to you both. This show is incredible, and I can't wait for people to see it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Awesome, guys. Have a good one.
All right,
Thank
you as
you.
well.